welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. And today you can see I'm on the green island of Ireland, and it's windy, it's rainy, and this is what you need for a green island, because you need rain to have plants growing and grass growing. And yeah, very windy, very rainy, very Irish. And today I'm in Skibbereen, a small town in the county of Cork, and we are here at the West Cork Distillery. The distillery was actually founded in 2003 by three local boys, I would say. They are called John O'Connell, Ger McCarthy and Dennis McCarthy. The latter two are actually cousins, and they were friends from youth. And they actually just started in Dennis's house to start a bit distilling on 100-liter stills, and actually started a business there. And in 2011 it actually escalated so much that they actually bought a place in Market Street in 2011, and they had two stills from Arnold Holstein. I think it's a Swiss one, and the Rocket still, I think another still a bit bigger. And they actually did a bigger business, and they started and they did reinvesting. And in 2017 they actually bought this place here in Marsh Street. And as younger people, as boys, they actually worked here. It was a canned good factory where they take vegetables and can it. And yeah, I don't think they discontinued the work somehow here, and the building fell in disrepair, and they actually bought the whole place and set up the building again. And yeah, that was 2017. They actually built the place up more, and they had renovations, I think in 2019, or not renovations, expansions. And they recently had expansions as well. So now they are really, really big. And but for the West Cork brand, they really stick to their core principles. It's triple distilled Irish whiskey, no coloring, no chill filtration. So that is what the West Cork brand stands for. And yeah, let's now get in and see what West Cork is made of. Everything begins with the grain, and they get the barley, the malted barley from the region of east of Cork, the county of Cork. In the eastern side they have a lot of grain, so most of their grain comes from eastern Cork or from Ireland. And the west side of Cork is actually a lot of dairy, so that is really good. They're sitting like a bit in the middle, and they are getting a lot of grain. And what they get out is the draff is very rich in protein, so they can actually sell it as cattle feed. So what they do have, they get the grain intake, and then they grind it down with a hammer mill, like the Americans do, into a really fine flour, which is then a lot different to what we know from a normal mash tun. It goes into a stainless steel mash tun with the double amount of water. So it's very, very fluid. It's really a liquid that can be pumped around. You don't have a cake that you can filter through, so you have to have another mash filter. Like in the beer industry, it's very similar to the beer industry, and we know it from some bigger distilleries. And as this is a bigger distillery, they also do it like that. In the back, we do see 6 mash tuns with 60,000 liters volume. These are currently in use. And the other ones, the old ones, before they expanded here, they were 3 times 30,000. So they could actually reactivate them. They do sometimes do a bit of experimental runs with rye or other types of grain. So this is like, they're smaller experimental stills, but small with 3 times 30,000 is a bit big for small. Yeah, and after this has been filtered, it's a very, very sugary substance that is very, very nice for fermenting. Behind me are the fermenting tanks. Nowadays the distillery has 25 of them, and they have about a capacity of 40,000 liters. You can see them, quite big, quite tall. And the climate here is very mild, means low temperature difference between summer and winter. But for fermentation outside, that's still a problem. If you have like 1 or 2 degrees in winter and 25 in summer or something, that's still a huge difference. So they do have cooling jackets, and they have temperature control, which is really good for the quality. They always get the same fermentation out. They have liquid brewer's yeast, which is liquid yeast, is also very nice, that it mixes very well with the mash. And you have a continuous fermentation. Everything ferments the same speed, and the duration is 72 hours, and they come out with about 9 to 10% alcohol, which is quite good, and that is then the perfect ingredient for the distillation. Yeah, the heart of the distillery, the still room. And behind me you see the most important stills. These are 3 stills for making the West Cork brand, because they do also other white label brands as well. West Cork is triple distilled, so you see the 3 stills, and they are a bit wider. Yeah, that's the Irish way. They also do have 3 new white Irish stills, and I think 6 of them, 2 of them don't have a lid yet because they are here under maintenance. And yeah, and this is the production of the triple distilled West Cork. Next up, they do have column stills, very fine copper column stills with, I think, a bit of a alambic at the bottom. I don't know if it's really a French one or it's just like the shape. And this is for making rum. They also do rum here. They also do gin, but I'll cover that in a separate video about the West Cork gin. And then we have the stainless steel column stills. They are for what they call neutral spirit, which is basically a vodka or poutine or something that is really not where the flavor is important. Yeah, and then you do have the smaller stills from their last endeavor. They moved the stills here, so they are smaller and they are in use for probably experimental stuff, but not for the West Cork. But that was the West Cork from before that, when they were still doing some other stuff as well. So the total capacity of everything, if you run everything 24 hours a year and all year through, then you could come out with 16.5 million liters of calculated pure alcohol, which they never do. They run it at about 11 to 12, depending on the year, depending on the orders, depending on maintenance and something like that. So yeah, they are a huge business, and let's see how the West Cork stuff is actually matured. The warehousing here at West Cork is very important. As you might know, the core range of West Cork is one of the biggest core ranges that I've ever seen. They have a huge amount of whiskies that are there. The usual way for a West Cork triple distilled Irish whiskey is it goes into a bourbon barrel like the one behind me. There are many of these here at the warehouse, and they store for a certain amount of time, and then they finish them. Either they do the normal bourbon barrel, the classic, or they go into a sherry cask, or they do have Calvados, IPA, port wine, rum, stout, virgin oak, red wine, or even Missunara oak. And Missunara oak is very expensive, so they don't have that many of them. On site we do have 3 whiskey warehouses with about a capacity of 35,000 casks. It's not always used. This year is pretty full, and as you can see there, at some corners you can see it's not all their stuff, so some of the stuff from other companies that actually buy from them because their stuff is really good. And so they also do have maturing for other companies as well. And they do have also offsite warehousing. So they say in total they have about 150 to 160,000 casks that they are in charge of. And that is quite a lot. They do actually have also their own casking site, their own casking machine, which can actually handle 6 bourbon barrels at a time with a very fast machine. They can say they can handle six bourbon barrels in under 4 minutes, which is that is quite fast. They all do, nearly all do store standing, so they actually rebung them. Rebunging means you drill a hole at the top and punch another bung in there, and usually you tighten the normal bung a little bit harder as well, because that is the very big weak spot of a barrel that is standing. After the maturation, it goes off to the bottling. They do have a bottling on site. They have 2 warehouses, one for glass, so all the bottles, and the other one is for corks and cardboard boxes and all that kind of stuff. So they do actually have bottling on site, which is nice. So they have like the whole process from grain to bottle here at the West Cork Distillers. And now let's try their stuff. So that was it with the production, and let's have a little bit of a tasting and a little bit of an interview with John Harrington. You're like the production manager here?
Yeah, so I look after the manufacturing here in West Cork. So I suppose I'm with the company 4.5 years. And mainly from when the grain comes in the gate here until we put it into the cask, that's kind of my responsibility in the company.
Okay, so you're a bit more of the production side, a bit more into like quality assurance and like
exactly,
okay. So I love the big range that you have here, and what's kind of working well here in Germany is actually the Thin Lizzy, and it's one of your blended products. I've heard. Okay, so so this is then not just done on the pot stills, but also on the column stills?
Yeah, so it's a blend of grain and malt. So at the moment we've one column still here. Now that column still is producing about 1.5 million LPAs a year.
Okay.
And I suppose the unique thing about it is that it's barley in the mash bill rather than maize. So that's that's one unique thing about the grain mash bill, I suppose.
But is it then a grain or is it the malt from barley?
So I suppose we're unique here in West Cork where we use 100% Irish grain. So the vast majority of distilleries in the country that are running column stills, they import maize. So we try and stay away from maize and we try and use 100% Irish grain. So it'll be unmalted barley and some malt that goes into the grain portion of the spirit.
Is it because of the enzymes?
Exactly. So you need some malt in there for that. Now, you can obviously use naturally occurring enzymes in Ireland, but we try and stay away from them as much as possible.
So you don't add any enzymes. You just go.
Sometimes we do. For some different spirits, we do depending on the mash bill. But.
So this was kind of something with a rock band or something, but I'm not familiar. Are you familiar with it?
Yeah, well, it would have been Joey Shore now would have led that project, but it would have been with the band and their family members. They would have done a collaboration and launched that brand, and we actually did a rum version of it as well.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we do quite a lot here. Like we do any spirit really that you can think of. We've gin, we've done rum, obviously vodka, whiskey, and poteen, which will be an Irish, traditional Irish spirit as well. So,
but is it a traditional poteen where you don't pay any taxes?
no, we pay tax and everything here.
Yeah, I think Thin Lizzy was something big in the 70s. So if you know that, write it down in the comments because I'm really not familiar with Thin Lizzy. But I think it was a Irish band in the 70s that was really big.
Yeah. No, their music is good, to be fair.
You can really smell that you have the Irish light style, easy.
Yeah.
Oh, I like it. And you said it's double charred.
It's in a double charred cask as well, yeah. So it will be quite heavily charred as well.
Oh, so it's lovely vanilla caramel.
Yeah.
Charring takes off the edges. It's lovely. Ooh, sweeter than expected.
Yeah.
Well, you said it's 100% barley because it feels a little bit like something caramelly, like popcorn, or like something like really.
Yeah, and you would think when you're doing a grain mash bill with just barley that it would be. I suppose slightly harsher than not as sweet as using maize, but no, the barley comes out quite well out of the mash bill.
Oh, I like it, and it has something like also has good bourbon character. It has a bit of a citrusy character, a little bit of a good amount of sweet character. So the area around here we do have today a lot of rain.
Yeah, it's common.
Is it hard for you when you have like the fermenters outside? Is it like a problem with the climate changes, or not climate change, but the climate differences between summer and winter?
I suppose we're quite lucky down here that it's a mesothermal climate, that it's kind of a constant temperature all the time. That
Okay.
Suppose if you take an average temperature, maybe 14 degrees, 15 degrees, it's probably on the high side even. It doesn't vary much from winter to summer here, so the maturation conditions are quite constant, which is a good thing. Obviously in the bourbon, you've obviously a lot more interaction with the wood, and that helps the bourbon industry. But for the lighter style spirit, that mesothermal climate helps us here in Ireland. Yeah.
Okay. So, interesting. So this year is then the next one. So you always mature in bourbon casks. Is that like a standard length, or?
For the malt range, so we've 7 different finishes in our malt range, in our single malt range, and we have a couple of different styles in the bottles. So these bottles here, they're what we call the maritime bottles. So of those 7 finishes, basically we mature for 3 years in a ex-bourbon cask, first fill.
And this is now the sherry.
Yeah, so we would have left it in the bourbon cask for 3 years, and then we'd take it out, we'd disgorge and put it into the sherry cask, and we'd leave it there anything from 6 months to a year. So, and all of these finishes are anything from 3.5 years to 4. Some might even be 4.5 years. So we kind of we do it off sensory analysis really to know when the spirit is, or the whiskey is finished maturing.
So you said you have 7 bottles in the core range. Is that hard to handle as in warehouse? Are you in the warehousing as well?
So I wouldn't be involved in it directly, but I'd be quite aware of it. So like even from the bottling, there's 7 in only our malt finishes alone. So we actually have other ranges in, like our bourbon cask, black cask. And then we have other finishes like IPA finishes, Glengarry series. So in total in the West Cork range, you're probably talking maybe 15 to 20 SKUs. So yeah, it's quite a lot of dry goods. I think it's the guys that are directly involved in the warehousing and bottling. It is a bit of a balancing act, because as you see from the tour of the site, it's quite full. I know it's a big site. It's
a lot of forklifting. Like we need that cask, like 5 of these from back there.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is a bit of a balancing act, even from like we have maturation warehouses off site as well. So if we wanted some of our sherry casks now, for example, and if it wasn't on this site, there was a bit of organising to bring trucks back from other warehouses, but obviously you don't want to bring back just 2 pallets of sherry casks. So
you want a full truck.
There's a lot of planning goes around it too.
Okay, I like it. You still have a bit of that bourbon character in there.
Yeah.
And it's just the finish on top. So this is not like full-fledged sherry bomb and everything, but you have a nice bourbon character. I think maybe it's just that I know it, but it feels like a triple distill. It feels very round.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure if it's triple distilled or it's just your style.
Yeah, I think it's hard to beat a bourbon cask finish, and it gives you a good base to do the rest of your finishes from. So that's why we do 3 years in an ex-bourbon cask as our baseline or our starting point for all of our different finishes. Just gives you a good starting point before you put it into that finish.
Oh, very, very nice. It has a bit of that feel from the Thin Lizzy, like the bourbon cask, but very juicy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that with the sherry cask when you have the juicy one. I'm not quite sure what kind of sherry it is, but very juicy, very fruity, very, very alive. I like it. And 46, I've had the 43.
Yeah.
46 has a bit more kick to it.
Yeah, so the maritime bottles, they're all 46%, and the taller 700ml bottles, the standard bottles, we bottle them at 43%. So there is 2 different strengths available in the maritime cask as well. So it's another thing with your different, as I said, we probably have about 15 to 20 SKUs or different finishes, but then you have different strengths, you have different labels for different countries, so it's a bit of a minefield.
yeah. And talking about the minefield, now you used to have like 3 stills for the triple distilled West Cork, and now you're working yourself up to, is it 9?
We have
Like the new ones are 6 new ones, and then you have 9 with the
we
old
actually
ones?
have 21 stills on the site. So
Oh, okay.
no, 3 of them aren't commissioned yet. So we have we've two column stills, 3 column stills, sorry, 2 gin stills, and then the rest are pots. So yeah, there's 21 stills. So
Is it hard, like to when you have the expansion and all that kind of stuff going on? Is it hard to get the flavor right?
yeah, it's quite difficult. I suppose where we kind of differ slightly in West Cork is that we don't actually have a master distiller as such.
Okay.
I suppose we rely a huge amount on automation here. So a lot of people might see that as a negative, but I suppose the consistency that we get off our stills because of this automation is unbeatable, to be honest.
Okay.
So all of our time goes into commissioning a still, and as you say, trying to find the right distillate style of the still, trying to match it to what we've previously done. So once we've a still installed and running, we could be 6 months commissioning a still before we put it into full production. So it does take a huge amount of time trying to match it to previous distillate profiles.
Okay, and everybody is sitting there like...
Yeah, so I suppose how we actually do it, to be honest, we've a GC machine and GCMS machine, so we take the distillate and we'll inject it in the lab.
Oh, okay.
And we get a full congener analysis of the spirit, and we know our previous styles, so we get it as close as we can by that, and that gives us a good starting point, I suppose. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to sensory, so we've a very good sensory panel here on site.
Okay.
So they'll actually do the sensory analysis on it and make sure that the distillate is fitting into that style. Because at the end of the day, it's the GC machine and the lab equipment does give you a good baseline or a good starting point, but you're not selling spirit to a machine at the end of the day.
You're not selling the numbers, you're selling the experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it gives you a good starting point, and it probably cuts out a lot of cuts down a lot of the time, but you still need the sensory panel to get it right.
Yeah. So I have now the rum cask finished. So when you do your own rum, you use your own rum cask, or do you import them?
No, we actually import it. No, I can't think of the name of the distillery that we import them from, but they're all imported. Our rum that we actually produced, that went into bourbon casks as well, ex-bourbon casks.
Oh, okay.
So.
You can really feel the baseline, and now this is a bit of a more hefty one.
Yeah.
No, this is not one of these lighter rums. This is one of these heftier rums. Oh, this has a spiciness to it. Didn't expect that. So the baseline you had with the first one, and you feel like the bourbon cask that you can feel coming through. That's very short. Yeah. That's very short here, and it's a spicy one. 46%. It's really already has some kick to it. So you've been here for 4.5 years. How much expansion did you have in that time?
Oh, huge amount. So
did you like walk into the wrong buildings when they?
I suppose the guys started. They started distilling in a shed in Union Hall back in
2003.
2003, yeah. 2012, 2013. They bought the first site of any substance in Market Street. And they outgrew that within 4 or 5 years, and they bought this place in 2018. So we didn't actually start building anything here until 2019, 2020. So everything you see around the place is within the last 4 or 5 years. Really, there was no distillery here. All that was here is this old building here that you're in at the moment. So the distillery building, all the tanks, everything around the place is all new since 2020.
Did your jobs change anything at all during changes?
Yeah, when you from a distillation point of view, or
like total view, distillation point of view is probably.
Yeah, I suppose it did change quite a bit. Like the fermenters obviously got a lot bigger, so we would have traditionally been fermenting 15,000 litre vessels. Now we're fermenting 80,000 litre vessels. So I suppose we had to be conscious of the the stress on the yeast because we were going so high with the fermenters. So there was a lot of trials done there to make sure that it wasn't going to affect the wash before it goes to the still as well. So there was a lot of it was a bit of a juggling act trying to get everything as it was in Market Street, I suppose.
So what do you have like to fiddle around with? Is it like temperature or?
Yeah, I suppose before we even ordered the fermenters, we had to do trials in the lab to see what obviously the hydrostatic pressure and the yeast, what difference that made to the yeast and what difference it made to the wash in the end. So we had to make sure, because those fermenters outside there, they're 15 meters tall, and the older ones were only about 4 or 5 meters tall. So we had to be sure that if we went from a 4 or 5 meter high fermenter to 15 meters high, that it wasn't going to affect our wash and essentially the spirit that we put into the stills.
I think fermenters is where the flavor comes from.
Yeah,
the others is just picking the flavors out. Yeah. But if you don't create the right flavors, you can always work with a bit of a cask. And so the Calvados, I've heard that is a bit newer, and it was like Calvados is something like with apples. I'm familiar with sherry and rum.
Yeah, it's an apple wine from my understanding. No, I wouldn't be hugely educated with it.
But it's fun to have these things where you're not that versatile in, because everybody has a sherry. Everybody nowadays has a rum. Yeah. And having a Calvados or an IPA or something is something special. Yeah. And I like it. That you have something. Okay, you can feel the baseline again, like the 3 years bourbon, definitely. And it's very, very fresh fruity. It feels like a bit of that typical, that when you have the new make with the pear and the apple. Yeah, that has a bit of that touch to it.
Coming through from the Calvados,
without the high spirit new make. Yeah. that is missing here. That is good.
What's your favourite out of the three malts so far?
That is really like an orchard. It has a bit of a cider flavor.
Yeah.
I'm a cider guy. Right. So I like it. A bit more of an oaky types, like I don't know if there's a matured cider or something. From these three, I was amazed with the rum.
Yeah.
I was amazed with the rum because it just took me off my feet, because I was expecting something very much different. Yeah. I was expecting the usual easy vanilla rum that you get like from an easy, like a Bacardi or something like that. But this was more of a spicy, maybe a little bit into the Jamaican style or something like this. This is a hefty rum that you packed in there, and I liked it. So I would go for the rum. But the others were also fine. They were really, really good.
Yeah, sherry now, I think we do, I don't know if you've tried our 7-year-old single malt.
I think I did,
Yeah, it's high notes of sherry off it. I think it's one of our nicest finishes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm really excited about the future. There's a bit of a rearranging, I've heard, and I'll leave it up to the rumor mill, and keep subscribing to the Whisky.com news. I will probably have that in the news. And thank you very much for having us here.
Pleasure.
And answering all the questions.
Thanks a million.
And thank you very much for watching. And if you found this video interesting, then please feel free to share it with your friends, and see you next time.